Welcome to Monday Night Boars special Full Gear 2020 Coronavirus Edition.
We're
I'm
only half
Clean Gene.
And I'm interrupting.
Sure are. That's
Pulling
Cid Lectro.
Pulling a Clean Gene. Cid Lectro is.
And Lowblow is missing.
Sick with the coronavirus.
Sure, we'll go with that.
No, he's in a garbage can in the back of Senor Benjamin's truck somewhere.
That's more likely, I think.
On the DX Express. Well, he'll never be heard from again, most likely.
That's too bad. R.I.P. Lowblow.
R.I.P. Lowblow. This one goes out to you.
All right, so Full Gear happened.
Sure did.
This is the second Full Gear.
Sure was.
The pre-show started with Serena Deeb and Allison Kay for the NWA Women's Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen Allison Kay before, but I had heard she was pretty good. And she looked pretty good in this match, I thought. Serena Deeb is very good.
Yes.
So it was a solid match. Serena Deeb won clean. She keeps that NWA title. Thunder Rosa came out at the end to set up a rematch between them. Not sure if that'll happen on AEW or NWA, but I would say I'm more interested in the NWA Women's Championship than the AEW Women's Championship, and I don't watch NWA.
Yeah, I mean, similar thoughts on that. Pretty much agree. Serena Deeb is great. I didn't know who the Allison Kay, right?
Yeah.
Said it, yeah. But yeah, she looked pretty good. Serena Deeb is great. I think maybe the biggest or one of the biggest pops I got all night was when Thunder Rosa came out.
Yeah.
Like, Thunder Rosa and Deeb were very good. They had a great match together. I don't know. It feels like to me they need to just kind of rebuild or reconfigure or whatever. Yeah, I guess rebuild their women's division around like a few of the people like Serena Deeb. In my mind, it would be like a solid 9 people so far. Like Deeb, maybe Kay if she's a free agent, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and then I think Layla Hirsch, was that the tiny person's name?
Yeah.
The tiny suplexer that Deeb fought.
Mm-hmm.
She was really good. And then from the year one people, I guess I would take like Nyla Rose, Sheeta, and Britt Baker, and then the 3 Japanese women who are missing, being Riho, Freddie Mercury, and the Genie, Yuka Sakazaki. I would just rebuild the division around them, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully they'll sign Allison Kay. I think she's someone that could come in and have good matches with some of the people they have, and then also hopefully help out some of the other people like your Big Swoles and Anna Jays that and Chris Statlanders that maybe have more potential from a personality standpoint, but just aren't there in the ring and need more practice and need to work with better people to get better.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, one last note. When Thunder Rosa's contract is up next year, if I were AEW and TK, I would throw tons of cash at her to try to convince her to come.
Yeah, she would be a great addition to the division.
Mm-hmm.
As the main show started up, surprisingly to me at least, was the tournament finals: Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page.
That was a big shock to me because that seems like a main event match, which obviously it's not a title match, so it wouldn't be here. Just like one of those two had a title. Who dog?
Yeah. So Don Callis from Impact was on commentary here. He obviously used to do commentary for New Japan, so he's called a lot of Kenny matches in the past. He's from Canada as well. I believe the same hometown as Kenny. So I guess they have that connection, but other than that, I'm not really sure. I thought it was kind of funny that Don Callis called Kenny Omega the greatest wrestler in the world, pretty much burying everyone in his own company, including the Impact World Champion.
I mean, he's not wrong, but yeah, it's a little weird.
I thought he was really good on commentary. Honestly, much better than JR. I think if he joined announced team and replaced JR, it would be an improvement.
I mean, look, I used to defend JR all the time, but after a year of Dynamites, you're starting to turn me, Gene. I don't like it, but I don't think you're wrong.
So I would say this match was very, very good. I don't think it matched my expectations, but my expectations were probably not fair. I went into this, hoping it'd be one of the best matches I ever saw. I don't think it was that, but it was a excellent pay-per-view match. It was very close, back and forth. So they kept Hangman looking strong, and Kenny got the victory at the end, barely hitting the one-winged angel. It was a good little thing they did there where Hangman was almost avoiding it, but couldn't at the last second. So Hangman looks strong still. Kenny won, which was what I expected. I will say I was disappointed that they didn't really do anything to advance the story at all between these two. And, I know Kenny likes to do a slow burn, but this is really dragging on with not much progress on what's going on with his character.
Yeah, it was an excellent match. I don't know if it was under or over my expectations. I think it about lived up to it. I would say, I guess, echoing you, my main letdown was the story aspect. It kind of ties into later in the night. Something happened later on too, where it's like, yeah, I also get the slow burn Kenny story thing, but like it's dragging on too much, and also something in the Bucks match. We can get to that a little bit later, I guess, but something that happened then. It's like it's not just the slow pace; it keeps like backpedaling constantly. It feels like to me. I don't know. It feels like it was time to pull the trigger. But then I was expecting Kenny to like win by cheating or turn on Hangman at the end in a like beat him up kind of way, disrespect him. I don't know. It was a really great match. I was watching it. I was like, man, I love these two wrestlers. They're both really fucking great. Good match.
Yeah, and they kept it, even though Kenny won clean, it was back and forth, so they kept it close.
Yeah.
And
no, they both look like world champs to me.
Yeah, and I think they'll definitely come back to this later.
Yeah.
All right, next up we had John Silver and Orange Cassidy. I thought this was the Meat Man, John Silver. This was an entertaining match. I think John Silver over the last couple months has really shown how good he is in the ring, and he does a lot of really cool spots that he puts together, some good combination things, and his kicks look really good. I think going into the match, it was obvious Orange Cassidy was going to win, so maybe that took a little bit away from it. But I think they did a good job of giving Silver a lot of offense and kind of spotlight him a little bit, and hopefully he'll continue to grow in that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. You knew Orange Cassidy would win. He had to. They just gave him all that, like, to put him over Jericho over the summer of Orange Cassidy. So, but it was a really fun match. I liked it a lot. I have to say, I'm not a big fan of Orange Cassidy. Not just because of the comedy stuff, but I don't know. Sometimes when he's doing, like, moves, it doesn't look great to me. Like, especially when he does all his, like the mousetrap thing. Obviously, Jericho messed that up, like, twice, but I don't think it looks good ever. At least when Orange Cassidy's done it. John Silver's great though. I love Long John Silver, the Meat Man. His combinations, especially with Alex Reynolds, are really, really great. They look cool. Yeah, he's a pretty good wrestler and good personality too, I think.
All right, next up we have the TNT Championship. Cody Rhodes, yes, Cody Rhodes, not just Cody, versus Darby Allin. So this was, I have some frustrations with Cody, and a lot of people I think have similar frustrations with Brandy that you read about on the internet a lot, of how, you know, Brandy, you can never tell, is Brandy a face, is Brandy a heel?
Yeah.
One show to the next, one segment to the next. It never makes any sense.
Nope.
And I'll say this with Cody. Anytime Cody talks, he's a face. Clearly baby face, right?
Right.
Always pandering to the fans almost.
Not almost. I mean, the other lot when he came back and it's not a heel. He's straight up said, "I'll never betray the fans."
But then he does his matches and he has these heel tendencies. So one, like he'll tend to cheat in some way, or almost cheat in some way in his matches, which happened here. He grabbed his weight belt. He was, you know, threatening to hit Darby Allin with the belt. They've had instances with Arn Anderson interferes, things like that. On top of that, he comes out with an entourage of like 20 people for his matches. It's absurd. And he has the most over-the-top entrance. He has the announcer call him the Prince of Pro Wrestling. Like, all of this is total heel stuff. And it's just confusing because he stays as a face.
He acts like a bully in this match.
Yeah, so I mean, this is your typical Cody match. He you know, wrestles that old school style. Here he was targeting Darby's arm the whole time. That was the story of the match. He eventually kind of got away from his game plan, I guess you would say, and started doing some more riskier stuff. And that's when Darby was able to start turning it around. I thought Darby's offense looked really bad in this match, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, just like his strikes and stuff, they just looked very weak to me. I'm not a fan of his finisher, the coffin drop. I think that looks pretty weak. It's like an 80-pound guy falling on you. Like, is that really that big of a deal? But yeah, Darby got the win here. He gets the title. That's what makes sense. You know, they're trying to build him as a star. I think this is the third match they've had, or maybe fourth, and they went to a time limit draw once. I think Cody barely won another time. So it's time for Darby to win. They did a thing where, you know, Cody handed over the title to Darby, and he was this gracious loser, total babyface at the end of the match after he was being total heel during the match. So I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with Cody in that sense. And his matches can be, I would say, anywhere from average, which is where I would put this, to if he has the right opponent, he can have really great matches like he had with Dustin. So this was okay to me. It wasn't nothing special.
Yeah, I mean, well, so I liked it a lot. I don't know about the finish though. I guess it makes sense if you're going off of Darby can't overpower him, so he's got to win somehow. But Cody sure likes the like kind of BS exchange cradles finish. He does that a lot, it feels like. He's also like kind of echoing what you said. I'll even add to it. I think Cody's, like, in his wrestling style, one of the biggest heels in the company in that regard. He cheats or threatens to cheat in every match. He acts like a complete bully to anyone who's not the same size as him. And it was a funny visual because Darby kind of looks like Cody's mini-me. Just there's an extreme size difference there. I thought Darby's selling was great, like selling his arm. I thought it was awesome. I'll say about the coffin drop, you got to think in terms of like a wrestling game or a fighting game. When he crosses his arms over his chest to make the coffin, that powers it up. that's why an 80-pound guy falling on you feels like a 200 or 2,000-pound guy, because the arms gives him that leverage.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I didn't mind Darby's offense. I thought it was a good match. I liked it a lot. I guess that I don't like title changes when they change so often. I thought it was too soon for Brody Lee to lose. I mean, Darby kind of has to win here. I guess it's the TV title, so it's meant to change hands more often. Just like it's changed twice in the last 2 months. It's a little fast for me, but it works. Whatever.
Yeah, and I'll echo your comments about the finish. Seems to be a routine finish for Cody. These like roll up, reversal, cradle, out of nowhere pin. I don't like it. And honestly, if you're gonna put a guy over, like here, like the goal of this match was to make Darby a star. This roll up thing just seems fluky, right? So it's not the best way. It's not the best way to put him over. And I don't think Cody has a problem putting people over.
No, I don't think it's
I think he just likes these finishes out of nowhere, and I don't know. They're not very effective to me.
Yep.
All right, next up we had the AEW Women's Championship, Shida versus Nyla Rose. This had almost no build for this match. We had Vicky Guerrero cut a promo on Dark a couple weeks ago calling Shida out, saying Nyla wasn't going to have a step in the ring again until Shida accepted a challenge for the title, and then Shida accepted the title challenge, and then they had this match. This was not as good as their last match, I thought, which was back in February, Revolution.
Wasn't it just Double or Nothing?
It might have been double. Yeah, it was Double or Nothing. You're right.
They had like all the poker tables and whatever.
Yep, and they had like a no DQ match.
Yeah.
That was surprisingly good. I will say Nyla's improved a lot over the last year.
Yeah, definitely.
The story of this match was obviously Nyla much bigger. Shida was trying to, suplex her several times throughout the match, couldn't get her up. You got Vicky Guerrero outside. Vicky interferes, hits her with a kendo stick. Eventually, Shida is able to power Nyla up for a suplex. They even did a Falcon Arrow off the top rope, which honestly I thought the match should have ended right there, and it would have been better than it ended up being. For whatever reason, Shida stopped the pin, picked Nyla up.
Well, it's because Nyla had done it to her, and she wants to show Nyla she can match her. I thought that was one of the cooler parts of the match.
I don't remember Nyla doing that, but I guess if that's the
she did
story.
It right before. Yeah.
Okay. I guess if that's the story, that makes sense, but from a face, that's kind of a heelish move to do.
And I was like, ooh, are we getting a Shida heel turn? But I guess not.
And honestly, after that point, it seemed like Nyla was just exhausted, and things started to get sloppy there. After that, Shida eventually gets the pin, and they do an angle after the match where they're a possible Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose split, where Vicky's yelling at Nyla, slaps her, walks off.
Yeah,
which would be weird to split them up because they've done nothing with that pairing.
It'd be weird, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's neither one is doing anything for the other, in my opinion. So I was like, you could do that if you want. It doesn't really matter. You haven't done anything anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully they start doing something more with this championship. It's just that, I mean, I know that you're dealing with, a lot of the roster is not able to come into the country right now. Britt Baker's been hurt. So they're dealing with some issues that are negatively impacting the division, but they got to do something here because Shida's basically never on TV anymore.
Nope.
And after Nyla, no one's really there. I mean, if Britt Baker's ready, but they got to start getting her some wins because she's coming off a loss to Big Swole, right?
Yeah, and that's just like, well, yeah, yes. And you're talking like 3 people fighting over a title, and like that's all you're doing so far. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you said earlier, like the NWA women's title is way more interesting in AEW currently than the AEW women's title.
All right, next up we had the tag team championship match, FTR versus the Young Bucks. Story of this match is Matt Jackson came in with a ankle injury, so he's not able to do, some of the typical Young Bucks moves that they would normally do. So that puts them at a disadvantage. FTR is working their standard old school match.
They were at a disadvantage because they cheat often, and Tully Blanchard's a key part of that, and he was also banned from the ring.
Right. So the ending of this match saw Cash Wheeler super kicks Matt Jackson, and then decides to do what they never do and go for a flip.
Oh god! Did you see his face before he did it? He looked around the crowd like he was like, "I'm gonna do it." God damn it! Even more than the spot itself, I loved how he looked around to see like, "I'm gonna do it." Should I? Or like to make sure Dax wasn't around or something. It was beautiful.
So he does a springboard 450 splash onto Matt Jackson. It actually looked pretty good. I was surprised.
It did. It looked really good.
And Matt Jackson puts his knees up, blocks it, then hits the super kick and gets the pin. So FTR went against their whole mantra of no flips, just fists, and that cost them the match.
You do flips, not fists, you lose.
I will say this was a good match. I don't think it was like the greatest tag team match of all time. I'd actually, not only would I put I thought the Young Bucks versus Kenny and Hangman match was better. I'd also say the FTR versus Kenny and Hangman match was better than this too, in my opinion.
So I know that it's been said there's a lot of references to tons of tag team stuff from over the years in this. I'm not too well versed in most of it, so like 90% of it went over my head. But I will say in my opinion, the Kenny Hangman versus the Bucks match is probably the better, but I will say I think this is, out of the tag team matches that I know, this is probably my second favorite of all time. I really love this match. I didn't even realize like the half hour had gone by, and I loved the finish. Yeah, I don't know.
Next up, we had Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara at the Hardy compound.
Yes, the Elite Deletion.
Is that what this one was called?
Yeah, the Elite Deletion.
Oh, sorry.
So we've had the Final Deletion, which was his Impact one, the Ultimate Deletion, which was the Bray Wyatt WWE one, and now the Elite Deletion. Goddamn, what a match. What a match.
So yeah, this was obviously a cinematic style Matt Hardy match. It was
very good. It ranks behind the Final Deletion and above the Ultimate Deletion. Matt Hardy he's a perfect, beautiful, cinematic boy. There's nothing wrong with how he moves in a ring, and he can definitely fully walk. And it was practically perfect.
So this match saw Proud and Powerful get involved. It saw Private Party get involved. We saw Hurricane Helms. We saw Gangrel.
We sure fucking did. And there's no Lowblow around to see, since he's lost on the TX Express.
Yeah. So I guess the Hurricane Helms was a payoff for something that happened in Impact.
Yeah, he got like tied up or something a couple years ago.
Okay. They made reference to that of, why did it take you 2 years to save me? And Matt Hardy said, well, I had to come to AEW to finish the story.
Yeah.
Hurricane Helms got thrown in the Lake of Reincarnation, and then he came out as his reporter gimmick.
Yeah.
And then he got thrown back in and came back as the Hurricane. I was hoping he'd come out as his 3-count gimmick from WCW.
I was wondering if he was going to switch again. It would have been funny. There's also a nice little jab at Cornette in there. Did you catch that one?
Yes.
Matt threw Sammy into the mud and said, "Get up, or the old people are going to think this is a mud show."
Yeah, I did catch that. This ends up Matt gets Sammy away from everyone else in the what was it called?
The Dome of Deletion.
Dome of Deletion. So it's just those two in there with a ring, a ladder, table.
Giant ladder that literally went to the ceiling.
Yeah, Sammy got busted up. He was bleeding from the back of his head.
Well, so they recreated, Matt recreated Sammy's, like, the 2 botches they've had. 2 bad botches.
Yeah.
He speared Sammy onto tables, and then Sammy bleeding the back of his head. Yeah. And then threw the chair at Sammy's head.
Match ends, and they put Sammy in a trash can and wheel him out, and Senor Benjamin takes out the trash.
Sure does. I saw Sammy tweet this morning. He's not sure where he is, so who knows? I guess he'll never be back.
I forgot to mention in the tag team match, there was a weird thing that happened where Dax Harwood just started bleeding from his hand.
Oh, well, it was after he punched the ring post.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, he punched it, he said, "Ow," and then the camera went off, so he bleeded his hand. Is what my takeaway was.
Okay.
That's why his hand was, that's why they kept doing the back and forth with his hand and Matt's foot, because he tried to punch, it was either Nick or Matt, and he punched the ring post. And then out of nowhere, when they cut back to him, his hand was bleeding.
See, I was thinking it was a mistake in that. So oftentimes when a wrestler's going to blade, they'll keep the blade taped on their wrist.
Ooh.
And when it's time, they'll take it and then cut their forehead.
Okay.
So I was thinking maybe he was going to blade in the match. Well, and he had it in his wrist, and something happened, and it like slipped out and cut his hand.
I mean, that could also be true, and they switched it up. But yeah, from my point of view, it seemed to me like he busted open his hand punching the ring post.
Okay.
Just something they've actually done. Maybe they're doing it too much. They've done it. That's like the 3rd time in the last month. I don't remember what the first one was, but just a couple weeks ago, and like Phoenix versus Penta did the same thing, minus bleeding from the hand.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Next up, we had Jericho versus MJF. If MJF wins, he can join the Inner Circle.
And if Jericho wins, Trump can steal the election.
Yeah. So Jericho was a total babyface in this match, which makes sense, I guess.
I don't know about total.
Oh, come on. He's totally playing to the crowd. He's doing high spots. He's doing a Hurricane Runner off the top rope. He was total babyface in this match.
I mean, his character's an arrogant jackass. Like, unless he's being like the crazy old man WCW heel Jericho, like that's not that crazy. Plus, I mean, the ending was because he was trying to do a heel move.
That's true, but he was working. He was working as a babyface in this match. This was an okay match. I don't know. I don't really have much to say. other than it was okay, and it had a good finish, which saw
Great finish.
MJF had Wardlow come out, give him his ring, distract the ref. He tries to hit Jericho with the ring at the same time. Jake Hager throws
Floyd.
Jericho Floyd the baseball bat. MJF sees this and just lays on the ground, acts like he got hit with the bat. Referee turns around.
You flipped them off first. Don't forget that part.
That's true. Referee turns around, sees Jericho with the bat, sees MJF on the ground. Jericho turns around to plead his case. MJF rolls Jericho up, holds the tights, gets the pin.
Yeah. It's another example of AEW's, like, if they're going to use roll-ups, they do it smartly. This was probably the single best way to do a roll-up. I liked it. It was pretty good. Maybe nothing special. MJF definitely looks better than he did this time a year ago. Yeah, so I guess he's in the inner circle now, and it's probably going to kick Jericho out in the next month or two. I guess we'll
there's
see.
A lot of tension between Wardlow and Jake Hager.
Yeah, Wardlow's awesome. I love Wardlow. God damn, that guy's awesome.
Next up is our main event, AEW World Championship I Quit match, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. This match was okay. Eddie Kingston's not that great in the ring. He's a good talker. It was basically a hardcore match. Lots of weapons. You got a barbed wire bat. You got thumbtacks, chairs. A lot of this match saw Eddie Kingston with the advantage over Moxley. He took some of the barbed wire off of Moxley's bat, wrapped it around his fist, punched him with it a bunch of times. He dropped Moxley in the thumbtacks. He then got some rubbing alcohol, poured that on Moxley's back, where all the thumbtacks were.
Yeah.
And saw Moxley get the barbed wire, wrap it around his arm, and then do the bulldog choke. So he was choking Kingston with the barbed wire.
Yep.
And Eddie Kingston said, "I quit," and lost the match.
It's good. It was a good way, I thought, to give the Kingston character an out, because he said, "You're gonna have to kill me, John," and he basically almost did. At least in character. So yeah, it was a good death match. It is definitely no Kenny Moxley hardcore match from last Full Gear. I'll tell you that.
No, they did not. They did not go as extreme as that either.
Yeah. Well, also, as you said, Eddie Kingston's he's no Kenny Omega in the ring either.
No.
Also, his ring attire is kind of goofy.
Yeah,
he looks more like a plumber or something.
He should change up his ring attire. I agree.
Yeah.
So overall, I thought this was a good show. I don't think anything was bad on it.
No. I think out of their pandemic pay-per-views, each one's gone better. In my opinion, this was by far the best of the three from the pandemic era. Some
people are saying this is their best pay-per-view ever.
Yeah, I saw that, and it's like if you go like top to bottom, like maybe it's a contender just because so it didn't have any of the high highs that some of the other ones did. Maybe the tag match, depending on your view of it. Maybe Kenny Hangman. They're very, very excellent pay-per-view matches. I don't know. It's just like last All Out. There's like the Escalera de la Muerto match that was crazy and awesome, and then it had the first title match between Hangman and Jericho, which I thought was great and had really excellent storytelling. And then, of course, Double or Nothing, the first one, was pretty great. Had the Cody Dustin match, which is definitely in my top 5 matches of all time. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know where to rank it. Probably in their top 3, right?
Yeah, I could see it being top 3. I don't think it was the best, but it was good.
What do you have as your favorite of the pay-per-view?
Probably the first Double or Nothing.
Yeah, it was good, but I mean, we're biased because we were there live, and it was just like a crazy ass time. The single loudest thing I still have ever heard in my life is Moxley's surprise debut at the end of that show.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear anything because they're so loud. Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
think the best match was on this show?
On this show,
Yeah.
for me, the best match because it didn't have the aspect. Oh, I didn't even talk about that. Like I said, I would. Didn't have the slight disappointment of the storytelling aspect to it. I thought the best match was the tag match. Pretty close second was Kenny Hangman.
Yeah, I would say Kenny Hangman was my best match on the show.
Yeah, so the thing about backpedaling on the story with the Kenny and Elite stuff was like after the tag match, Kenny came out to celebrate with the Bucks, which is fine. And then they had like Hangman standing in the face entrance looking sad, which is pretty great. That's cool. But I don't know, the problem to me with the Kenny stuff is the last pay-per-view All Out ended with Kenny storming off, being disgusted even with the Bucks in the end.
They said you're
And
either with me or you're not. You need to decide right now, and they didn't go with him.
yeah, they didn't decide. Yeah, so then he left. He hasn't really been on BTE since then. He's been teasing the heel, the cleaner. He's got the dickhead smug heel like entrance, and he has Justin Roberts calling all of his accolades. And then like he just comes out celebrating with the two guys that he stormed out of the last time we saw them all together. And to me, it's like they're taking baby steps forward and then big steps backwards. And I get that I think he's trying to portray like maybe realistic human, how a friendship dissolves over time, where it's like, oh, it's a big moment, whatever. So of course he's gonna celebrate. It's just, I don't know. Feels like there's too much backpedaling for me, where they make small steps forward with Kenny's heel character, and then he immediately backpedals to like, oh, it's just the Elite again, and they're all happy for each other.
Yep. And they keep teasing the North Carolina thing, which would put him with like, FTR, and they're doing nothing with that.
Yeah, they're both from North Carolina, and it was like hoping that since Kenny didn't cheat to win his Hangman match, maybe he would do something. I don't know. Maybe they'll get to it. I'm sure it'll be fine by the time Revolution comes out. It's just like, it's time to kick it into gear, man.
Do you think they wait for Revolution for the Kenny and Moxley match?
I do think that. And who was it? Was it one of the announcers last night? Said that? Maybe not. It's
I didn't hear if they did.
Now Moxley will face Kenny at Revolution. Maybe that was something I'd listen to afterwards. Anyway, yeah, I think they'll wait for it. That's a giant pay-per-view match in my mind. You think so? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, probably. It's a long build though, so they're gonna do some stuff in between then. And I think hopefully Kenny will finally win the title, and he'll be a full heel and go on a little run there. But
yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That would be a good wrap up to Moxley. Let him have the title for a year. He's gigantic. Whatever. Then let Kenny run with it as the cleaner or whatever heel he is. I don't know if we're getting the full New Japan cleaner.
Well, that was Full Gear. Stay cool, guys.
Yeah, stay cool, guys. Or as we like to say, I don't know.